All right, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Alex Smalley into the interview room here at the Wyndham Championship. Alex, you're a member here at Sedgefield Country Club, making your third start in this tournament. If you could just talk a little bit about how special it is to play an event on the PGA Tour at your home course.
Right, so anytime you can play a PGA Tour event in your home state, it feels pretty special, but to be able to do it on a course where I'm a member at, and I feel like I know relatively well, it's awesome. Got family here this week, have a lot of friends that I play out here with all the time that'll be here this week, so yeah, it's really nice to be familiar with the course. I feel like I know it pretty well, so yeah, it's going to be a really fun week.
You've got a couple of top tens in your last four starts, including the runner-up at the John Deere Classic. Coming into the week number 47 in the FedEx Cup, not in jeopardy in terms of making the playoffs, but if you could how important is it for you to kind of stay in that top 50 and make a push towards the Tour Championship as we head into the playoffs next week?
Right, so with the schedule changes for next year, obviously everybody wants to be in the top 50 to get into those elevated or just designated events. So once that was announced, obviously it was a goal of mine to be in the top 50 at the end of the season so I could play those bigger events next season, I guess. So yeah, if you would have told me early on in the year I would have had a pretty decent chance at that, I would have taken it. And obviously I feel comfortable here, so if I can just kind of do my thing this week and obviously play well next week in Memphis, then I feel like I'd be in pretty good shape to be in that top 50. So yeah.
All right, we'll take some questions out here. We'll start right here in the front.
And what does prep for you look like at your home course versus a course that's not your home course? How is this week different for you?
It's not terribly different. I would say the only thing that is different is that I'm staying at home, sleeping in my own bed, that kind of thing, not staying in a hotel. But, I'm still out here Monday. I played 9 holes Monday before the Pro-Am yesterday. Played 9 holes today. Playing the Pro-Am tomorrow. I'm still kind of going through the same motions that I would any other tournament week, just because, it's a routine and kind of sticking to what I normally do, just kind of preparing like I normally would. Obviously, I've played the golf course a bunch of times before, but it does play differently during the tournament this week than it would regular play. The greens are a little quicker. Obviously, there are some pin positions that they use for the tournament that we don't really ever see for just normal play. The fairways are a little firmer. They tend to roll out a little bit more. So there's a couple tee shots where I actually have to club down from what I would normally hit if I was just out here playing. So it is a little different, but preparation-wise, it's not, I'm still playing Monday, Tuesday. It's not like I would just take Monday and Tuesday off just because I would know the course. I'm still kind of going through the same thing that I would do any other week.
Over here on the left.
Alex, I'm just curious, from like when you were growing up or coming up to now and being on the tour, does it feel like there are more golfers from North Carolina around? Anecdotally, it does. There's more in the junior am than there used to be. There's more in the girls' junior than there used to be. Obviously, it's always been a great golf state, but it does feel like Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro are producing more pro-caliber golfers than they used to. Do you get a sense of that or see that out here with guys you see on tour?
I would certainly agree with that. I probably had a pretty good sense or notion of that when I was in high school and college. Just playing in, junior tournaments around the Southeast, North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. I mean, there was a lot of really good competition. Even my high school golf conference, we had Grayson Murray was a few years ahead of me in school, but Grayson Murray played at the high school that was in my conference. Carter Jenkins was on that team. He played at UNC. He was a really good player, still is a really good player. Stephen Franken, I played growing up with. He played at NC State. He plays professionally. Doc Redman, I grew up with him. He's out here. He played at Clemson, won the U.S. Amateur. So I've known Ben Griffin for a long time. I grew up 2 streets down from Akshay. I've known Akshay since he was 8 or 9 years old. We grew up at the same club together in Wake Forest. Ryan Gerard, who just got special temporary. I mean, there's so many of them. Yeah, yeah. And so I didn't travel a whole lot in junior golf, just because I felt like there were so many good players here in North Carolina and the Carolinas. So yeah, it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces and guys I grew up playing against, and even guys that are older than me from North Carolina, like Webb Simpson, Brendan Todd, Cheston Hadley. There's a decent number of them.
Is there a Wakefield-Northridge rivalry?
I wouldn't be part of that rivalry because I didn't grow up playing at Wakefield.
Oh, I think you said you with Akshay, so sorry.
We grew up at Heritage Golf Club.
Okay.
I know Akshay went over to Wakefield a number of times, but yeah.
Another one on the left over there.
Hi, over here, Skip Foreman with the News and Record. You mentioned the playoffs earlier and trying to climb the ladder. Describe what goes through your mind, because at this time of year, it would seem the pressure and the need to perform intensifies, and the margin for error is almost non-existent. How do you process it, and how do you approach it?
So I would say I'm very fortunate and grateful to be in the position I am. I have my job locked up for next year kind of already, my card. So I recognize that there are a number of people that are in a different situation than me, looking just to get inside the top 50. There are guys that are just trying to keep their card for next year. And so I think that pressure is a little more than just trying to get into the top 50 and, trying to get into the playoffs. You're playing for your job, your livelihood I feel like that pressure's a little more intense than kind of the stuff that I'm feeling right now. It's very difficult to not think about that kind of thing. But I feel like, I've done a pretty good job of just kind of, going through the motions and, controlling what I can control, and that's just, how I can play. I can't control how other guys play that may jump ahead of me or that kind of thing. I can only control how I play. So I'm just really trying to focus on that aspect of it, and everything else will take care of itself.
On the right over here.
Danny?
Hey, describe your last 2 years and how you just grind and trying to get your car. Then you get there, but you still have to play well, and you have played well. And
Right.
Describe that road and how your life has changed over the last 2 years.
Yeah, so it was crazy. 2 years ago, Mark Brazel was very kind to give me an exemption into this tournament. And at that point, I was on the verge of qualifying for the Korn Ferry Finals based off of the number of non-member FedEx Cup points that I had accrued through the couple of events that I played. And it's crazy to think, just 2 years ago I was in that situation and, like I just mentioned, trying to play for my livelihood, playing for my career. And now I'm sitting here, and I can't believe it's been 2 years already. And I'm getting ready to finish my second season, and it's gone by really, really quickly. So yeah, it's crazy what 2 years can do. It's been a fun 2 years, but I'm sorry I didn't get the last part of your question. I mean, obviously it's I'm traveling a lot and playing a lot. I wouldn't say it's really changed a terrible amount, just playing more golf than I was at this point 2 years ago.
Are you buying anything? Does it change all that much?
No, I'm not one that really splurges on anything. It was funny. One of the caddies asked me if I was a car guy earlier today, and if I had bought a new car. I was like, no, I'm still driving my 2020 Honda Accord. I'm not one who would go and buy a whole lot of things, and I don't know if I ever will be. So,
One on the left over here.
Have you made any aces out here, or closest you've come?
on tour or
Or at
at the
Sedgefield.
Wyndham, I have not at Sedgefield. I think I was close a couple years ago on 16 in the final round. I think they put the pin in the bowl section in the front section on 16, and I hit it to 3 feet or so. But no, none out here at Sedgefield yet. Maybe this week, yeah.
Got time for a couple more?
You mentioned Akshay earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Just what's it been like for you to sort of watch his development, as this young kid, the decision obviously to turn pro early, and then what he's done the last couple of years, really cementing himself and earning this to get to the point where he won 2 weeks ago. What's that been like for you to watch?
Well, knowing him for so long, I think a lot of people could see it coming. Not a lot of people skip college in the U.S. and go straight to the pro ranks anymore. To be quite honest, I can't remember, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else who has really done it and has been successful. Obviously, in Europe, it's a little different. Some people, they're more it seems to be, I don't know if this is true, but it just seems that more Europeans tend to kind of choose that route and don't play in college. But he is very, very talented, and I think it was only a matter of time before he was, going to be out here for a number of years. And obviously he got a special temporary membership earlier on this year and ended up winning a couple of weeks back. So it's very cool to see, someone that I grew up with who's, not only succeeding but is winning as well. So very, very happy for him, and hopefully, we get to see him out here for a long time.
Again, given your home course, do you feel extra pressure this week? Do you feel there's extra pressure put on you this week?
I don't know if I would say that I feel like there's extra pressure put on me. Obviously, I have expectations about how I would like to play, and based off of if I'm just kind of playing by myself or playing with friends, how I would normally play. Obviously, I would have those kind of expectations. And yes, there is a little more pressure just because, I play here all the time. I feel like I should, play a hole a certain way or shoot a certain score out here, but it's not like I get a head start out of everybody for the week. We're all starting in the same place. But yes, there's certainly a little extra kind of, I wouldn't call it pressure, but just kind of trying to manage certain expectations will be one of the more difficult things playing a tour event on your home course.
Any more questions for Alex? All right. Thank you very much for your time, and best of luck this week.
Thank you.